is the fourth in a series of fire training videos which will give you basic knowledge for dealing with fire safety and emergency procedures in the workplace. The laws and legislation which deal with fire safety and emergencies usually cross a number of disciplines. These are issues to do with building construction and compliance. For example, the placement of fire doors and design of walls and ceilings and roofs, and how fire resistant they should be. Also, there are issues to do with the placement of signage and first response emergency equipment. Then there are laws relating to training and the preparation of emergency plans. The whole area is well covered in most developed countries because there is so much at stake with regard to life in particular, but also property. The legislation can be complex, and it is worth seeking professional advice. Requirements can vary from state to state, and so can the penalties for non-compliance. So where do you look for relevant laws? Well, there are a number of places. Firstly, look for information on local general fire safety regulations. Look for information on fire and emergency procedures and regulations relating to your particular industry. Look for regulations relating to employment health and safety. Also look for building fire safety regulations. Then there are such things as codified standards for dealing with fire and other emergencies. And lastly, be aware of any guidelines on emergencies and fire rescue procedures. Again, this is an area where an expert may be able to provide invaluable services. You should not assume that because the legislation is potentially complex, that you will not be expected to be aware of it. Again, it can't be stressed enough that we are dealing with situations which affect life in particular, but also property. There are no other considerations which are more important in the running of a business. You shouldn't assume, for example, that because your building and facilities are relatively modern, that they conform with the necessary building regulations relating to fire and emergencies. Older premises should certainly be inspected, and premises which have had a change in use or perhaps an increase in employees or throughput should certainly be checked and inspected. If parts of your facility do not comply with regulations, you can receive on-the-spot fines, and it is even possible for the withdrawal of licenses to operate certain businesses, or in fact the withdrawal of certain forms of accreditation. Employees and management should be vigilant about anything which they suspect might not be up to scratch. Again, everyone loses if a facility is forced to close, or worse, there is loss of life because of inappropriate building design. So some points to remember for employees and managers and business owners. Firstly, are there adequate escape routes and exits which are clear and easy to operate? Are all fire safety installations properly placed and checked? And is everything functioning, like fire doors and extinguishers and alarms and smoke detectors and so forth? Is there an emergency plan, and is it understood and made available to all employees? And are records kept of emergency drills and how instructions are to be carried out? In video 5, we will be looking at the important topic of fire evacuation.